This is the third video in a series for practicing tabs in InDesign, and this next one is a schedule of events for a dog park sort of event. It looks like this when we're finished. So this is my finished file in InDesign, and you currently have a file that looks like this, just has text. So what I would do is I would recommend copying and pasting this text box. Alt drag it, hold down the shift key, it'll stay in line, and we'll work with this. Now you will notice that this text box is a different size. So the width and height on this, if we want to get really technical, because I do things by eye, I don't do things by sometimes perfect math. So the width is 4.4656. Heavens, Betsy, I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pop in here the width, 4.4656. You'll have to type that in. 4.4656. And the height, well, that's not quite as important. I'll just pull it down. We'll manage it later. And this is it's centered in the page. Okay, so the width definitely does matter. The width is 4.4656. Double check that. All right, so this is as if it's like a little advertisement within a page, so sometimes we have to do these as independent items, not as pages. So this will be one of those types of things. Now this does have, I'm just using default colors on here. So I'm going to go to my swatches panel. This does have a border on it as a border color of blue, and it's about 4 points thick. So I'm just using these default colors. So let's activate the stroke, put a stroke on it, and put that as a 4-point stroke. There, we did it right up here. This text is writing the edge of the document, and that is not a good idea, or the edge of the stroke. So we're going to put an inset on it. Here you can see on the practice file here that I did put an inset. If you put an inset on something, it puts a light blue line that does not print, but when it's selected, you can see it. Okay, so it's a light blue line. I'm going to cheat a little bit and look at my inset. So these insets, are found under Object, Text Frame Options. I always use a keyboard shortcut, Control B or Command B. So it looks like I've got a 0.3125 inset on this. So we're going to go back to this, go to Object, Text Frame Options, and let's set this to 0.3215 or 3125, which is a default inset spacing. I'm going to hit OK. As far as the blue and green boxes up here, those are drawn separately and sent to the back, just so you know. This will probably have to be increased a little bit, so we'll do that. Both Dog Day Afternoon and Bark Park event are both white text, and all of this text, guys, is, for the most part, not all of it, but most of it is impact. So I'm going to go to my character control panel and type in impact. I did supply that font, but usually that is a default font on most computers. So let's make most of it impact while we're here. And then we are going to increase the size of this text. Now I'll go ahead and give you the numbers because I already have them. So the Dog Day Afternoon is 18 over auto letting, and Bark Park is, Bark Park is 26 over 52. So again, 18 and 26, but the other one is over 52. So this is 18 over letting or over auto, 26 over 52. There we go. And these are both centered. So I'm going to choose them and center them. Now you could go the backwards P and click on the center. There it is, center, align center. I usually just use a keyboard shortcut, which is Shift Control C for center. If you're on a Mac, it's Shift Command C. That just goes a lot quicker. Also on this, it looks like there's a big space after the Bark Park event schedule. It is 0.3125. Now we don't hit the return to get that. That's why I'm assuming it's a space after. So we're going to go back to here and put 0.3215, which is a default number. I don't have to guess anything. This text will be white here shortly. What you do for the boxes behind the text is you just grab the regular shape builder tool and draw a box. Hopefully I'm snapping that to the edge. I'm not sure because my swatches panel is up. We'll fill this one with green and the other one with blue. And these are just default colors. So this one is green. Make sure you don't have the stroke selection. Make sure you have the fill selection. That's green. I will just simply duplicate this. I kind of like to cheat a little bit, widen it up a little bit and make this one blue. These both need to be sent to back. So I'm holding down the shift key to grab both of them at the same time and go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. There we go. And this text obviously now needs to be white. So we'll make that the paper color. So we got the header set. Now let's talk about tabs. For these tabs, these are left aligned tabs. And we also have, in addition to left aligned tabs, we're going to have a first line and left line indent, kind of like what we did on that menu, I guess, for at least the stuff over here, this green text. So let's go in and see what we have here. Of course, time and event, they're both red. So let's fix those. Let's make those red. Just using the default colors here. Make sure you're on the fill color, not the stroke color. And the rest of the type, most of it's blue. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it blue just while I'm here, at least from that point down. Some of it's green. We'll deal with that later in the paragraph styles. On the tabs, these all share the same tabs. The time, the event, the 11:30 a.m. and so on. So this should be pretty easy to manage as far as tabs go. So I'm going to go ahead and in this case, I'll select all the text that needs a tab. Might as well, it's going to be on there anyway. And I'll go to type and tabs. There is a keyboard shortcut, Control or Command Shift T. I use that quite a bit. Now here's a problem. It does not align to this column because this is, oops, let me zoom back in. Because this is like, it doesn't know where it is in the document. So I'm going to have to shrink this up and then maybe click this again. It doesn't align. Okay, so this is one of those times when it does not align because I don't have it. If I hit the W key, you'll see it's not aligned to these column edges. So it can get a little confused. Let me get back in here, select this text. Hopefully when I hit the W, I didn't do anything wrong there. And also it doesn't align to the actual text box. What it aligns to is it aligns to the inset. So weird. This is different. So I'm going to align this to the edge of the text. And you'll see that right here, the text stops and starts. And right here, right here it starts and here's where it stops. So I don't line this out here off to the left. I align it to the left edge of that text. So that's a little confusing. So this is where tabs can get really confusing depending on what you're doing. It doesn't automatically position the panel above the text frame properly. So that gets confusing. Now, the time is just automatically aligned on the left, but the event needs a left tab, meaning everything is going to align on its left and the text goes to the right. So I'm going to choose a left tab. I'm going to pop this in here. That's probably a little too far away. So I'm going to bring it back. Now I'll double check this guy here and I'll actually get the position. So let me click on this. The position of the tab is, just in case you know, it's 1.25. So I can go in here and click on this guy. Oh, now I got him moving back to where he aligns. Click on this guy and put in just 0.125. That was close. And I'm going to close this because that's pretty good. Now let's take a look at let's take a look at this a little bit more. It looks like there's a little space above each of these. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's see, there's a space above. Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't show a space above. Well, how did we do that? Well, maybe it's the letting amount. 12 over 19. Let's see if we got the right letting amount. 12 over 14. Aha, it's the letting amount. So let's take a look and see if we can pop a letting amount in there. 19. Sometimes we have a big space after, but this is just got a lot of letting. Okay, so there we go. Much better. Let's now figure out how in the world they got things to how does some of this get positioned? It's like Tiki's Playhouse is all crazy. Well, guys, by Tiki's Playhouse, if we look at the sample, it is, or sponsored by, it's moved down to the next line, but that's a soft return. So we're going to put a cursor between the, or under the, or before the S and sponsors, and hit Shift and Enter on the keyboard, not on the numeric keyboard. Now it's not in the right place, right? So let's also make this the right point size and everything. So this is that green color. It's impact 8/10. So we will go in here and make this impact 8/10. So the letting, you know, is the space between lines. So the letting on this will be smaller. We'll make it green. And as far as getting it to move over, here's a trick. We're going to go into indents and spacing here, or indents rather, and we're going to put a left indent at 1.25. Now this sounds crazy. So 1.25. So you'll see when I hit the tab key, it's going to move right here under an event. Whoops, that's not quite right. Well, sponsored looks good, but everything else needs to move back. So on the right indent, or first line indent, excuse me, the first line of this needs to move backwards. So here's the first line indent. Put a minus 1.25, and you'll see that first line, the top line, will move back. So that's how you magically do this formatting without having to set an extra tab or, you know, some other tinkering around or hitting a hard return. You know, this is all still part of the same paragraph. Now, once this is all set, we will make a paragraph style. So I'm going to go in here, make a new set for my styles. Click this create new style group. Double click and call it dog park or something like that. Dog park schedule. And any paragraph or character, any paragraph style is going to go in here. So this is selected. So I hit the plus sign, new style, double click, say this is time and event info. Now it does have a plus sign. The reason why it has a plus sign is because sponsored by Tiki's Playhouse is different than the beginning text. Now InDesign understands that anything that is in the beginning highlighted is going to be the paragraph style. Anything that is off later is going to be a character style or not a style. But it is mimicking this formatting right here. That's why when I select it, it's got no plus sign. Now this, the sponsor needs a character style. So I'm going to go in here and hit the plus sign, double click character style and call this sponsors. Again, my character styles are duplicate because I've already done this exercise once, and InDesign does remember those styles I used before. Now I'm going to reference this a bit. You can see with Club Pooch is on the same line. Some of these sponsors are on the same line. Some of them are moved down to the next line. So I'm going to go in there and click on whichever ones I need to click on and tell them they are the character style of sponsors. And I'll get this to properly align here in just a second. Let's see, with Coventry. That's the one that got messed up. So on the final piece, I'm going to have to look at that and see what we need to do. Let's see, sponsored by, let's get all these done. Oops, wrong one. And I think that's it. Oops, wrong thing. What is going on here? Let me hit Control Z a couple times and make that sponsors. There we go. Now, as far as them aligning properly, I'm going to put my cursor right before the S in sponsors for the biscuit eating contest, hit Shift Return. Interesting. So when this, there we go, and then click on sponsors again. It kind of messed up the letting, but let's go back to the paragraph styles and let's see what's going on. Time and event. Yeah, I'm having to really mess around with this. The paragraph styles are working. It's just kind of a little nutty. Oops, sponsored by is supposed to be also green. So let's go back to character styles. You're a sponsor. Put my cursor before there. And I think it's on the same line, so that doesn't matter. But on this one with Coventry, I'm going to hit Shift and Enter. And for some odd reason, it's thrown it out of the paragraph style. So I'm going to click time and event info and I'll pop it back over. That's really weird. Same thing here. Very strange. And why does it have that extra space again? Well, let me go back to the character formatting. And for some reason, again, it's off character style. So I'll click on that and I'll pop it back up. InDesign is doing a little bit of funky business here, but we're able to correct it. It's just not fun. It should automatically do that, but it's being a turd. All right, we're going to go ahead and put a line in here. There's a line about halfway down the middle of these, right in the center. I hold down the Shift key while after I start drawing the line. It lines up down to the bottom of the text. I'm going to kind of come over here. As long as Shift key's on, I don't care if I'm moving over here or not. It'll stay straight. That line is going to be a little bit thick. It's a dotted line. And it is green. So I'm going to make that green color. Let's make sure we chose the right one. It could be a little bit thicker. So I'll thicken that up a little bit more. And that might be too thick. I don't know. Let me look back. Yeah, that one's just a little bit thick. So let's make this a three-point rule. Oops, not 5. I'll get it right here in just a second. There we go. And make sure that your rule is not, or your stroke is not going up into the blue. So pull that down so it does not pop up there into the blue. And then you want it optically centered between the time and the event. So you can click on that. And there's a little arrow key on your keyboard that you can kind of move things in little increments. There's a left arrow, a right arrow, a down arrow, and an up arrow. So I use those a lot when I'm just dealing with minutia, little minor tiny things. Now, the last little thing here, well, there's 2 things. I'm going to have to type this out by itself, but there's today's event sponsored by, and then this other stuff down here. Now, how we manage that, because this is in a specific shape, we can't really break that apart by creating, like there's this little sample here and there's text over here. So we're going to have to copy and paste those into separate text boxes. That's what I'm trying to say. So where it says this event's today's event sponsored by the following, I'm going to hit Control or Command X after I copy it or after I select it. And I'm going to draw a little text box out here and paste it in there. Delete the extra space. That's, when the cursor's down there below it, that's an extra space. Then I'm going to grab the rest of this stuff, copy it or cut it, hit the delete key because you've got an extra return in there. And then I'm going to paste it in its own box, maybe over here. So we are going to have to use these as separate text boxes. And these text boxes will optically align to the edges of the text above them. So what I'm doing here, because there's no text box on the edge of this, I'm kind of going in here. I'm like, okay, does this align? And I'm just kind of cheating. The P is the thing that's kind of the same as the B. So I'm just like, okay, that's aligned text now. So it's placed over it temporarily. And then I'll click on it and then hold down the Shift key and drag it down. That way it stays in line. Okay, so it's a little sneaky trick. Same thing over here. I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to align it to the left. So the T should align to that 1. It's hard to tell blue and black. They're so close in value. That's aligned. And then I'm going to pull it down. I can definitely decrease the size of this text box. I'm going to pull it down, either hold the Shift key down or I'm holding down Shift and arrowing it down. That's another way to do that. Click on something, hold down the Shift and use the arrow key. It arrows down quickly. These should line up across the tops of each other. So I need to check that. If they don't, I can always go to Object and Align. So that's under Window, Object and Layout, go to Align and say, hey, you guys need a line on your top edge. Oops, maybe I need to make sure it's not aligned to page, but aligned to selection and aligned to the top edge. There we go. Then we know it's perfectly aligned. Okay, so those are aligned. Now we just have to format the text. Now these won't be paragraph styles or character styles because this text is only used once. So on today's event is sponsored by, It is, drum roll, Minion Pro Italic 9/12. So we'll make this Minion Pro Italic 9/12. Oops. Minion Pro Italic 9/12. 9 tab 12 tab. There we go. Now InDesign is doing this little ghost image like this, where it's like, what is going on with this text? There's duplicates. Hit Control minus or plus or Control 0 and zoom back in, and it goes away. Okay, it's kind of funky. This text is also a red color. So I'll just choose default red. And you'll notice on the finished piece, this has a long, what is called M dash. It's as wide as the capital M. That's why they call them M dashes. So it has a very long dash instead of a short dash. So I'm going to highlight that dash. And I'm going to go find in my glyphs the long dash. So I'm going to go type, glyphs. And here I'm going for the longest dash. Double click on it, close it, we're done there. Now, there's something I haven't told most students this class, and I probably should have in the very beginning of using InDesign. When you have text boxes and they're bigger, you know, the frame is bigger than the text, you can double click on any of these nodes and it'll squish it up so that way it's as wide as the text box. Even can do it in the corners too. So I neglected to tell you guys that previously, and it's a really great tip when you're trying to work efficiently. The next thing we're going to do is color these A's and B's, paper these sponsors. This is impact 8.5/12. So let's go ahead and make this impact 8.5/12. 8.5/12. And I will have to replace some of these commas. Well, it was also a different color, wasn't it? It was green. I'm going to replace those commas with, well, I'm either going to delete them or I'm going to, and I'm going to replace them with a bullet point. That's green. So here we should have, before the Coventry, we should have a soft return, which is shift return. And I'm going to delete any commas here at the ends. And in the middles here, I'm going to delete the comma, but I'm going to hit a space bar, and in between the two spaces here, I'm going to insert a bullet point. So this is under type glyphs. So if you go here and do entire font, you'll be able to see the glyph for a bullet point. See, this one has all sorts of crazy glyphs. It's yeah, so it's going to take a while. I think it's this one right here, middle dot. That one's too small. So let me highlight that again. Let's find the bullet point. So it takes a while when you have one with lots and lots of glyphs. Here's the big fat one. Let's double click on that one. There we go. That's the nice one. And then what I do is I just simply copy the space and the glyph. I highlight it, copy it, and I paste it in between. I highlight the space and the comma and then hit Control V. And that should do it. So let me double check the finished here. So yes, we have two glyphs, which are big old giant dots between those. And we also have them here between those pieces there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of wrap this thing up by double clicking on the bottom center node. So it'll pop it up. And then I'm going to click on this big bounding box on the outside and drag it up to the point where that blue line is pretty much looking like it's touching that text bottom, because that's the inset that was set originally. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to save that. And you guys do not have to package this one on this particular one, because I have all the fonts, assuming you're not using any of your fonts, your default fonts. Well, maybe I should have you package, because some of these default fonts are not default on all machines. So yes, go ahead and save it. Save it as the name of, you know, this would be called your last name. So I'll go Bilberry, or just call it tabs. And save it. Let me go into the tabs exercise, hit save, and then go ahead and package it, just in case you're using some default fonts that are loaded on your machine that are not on mine. So let's go to File and Package it. Package it. Take it to the correct assignment area. Package. Yep, fonts are restricted. Thank you. And then you'll zip that, right click, compress, and turn in the zipped file. Okay. So just make sure you're getting the right thing. So mine's Bilberry tabs practice, it's got the word folder at the end. I'm going to right click, and in a PC you go to send to, but on a Mac it's like 4 items down, compress. So send to compressed, and I am going to upload this folder to the assignment link. So I'm not in student view right now, but I'll do it to this tabs assignment link. Okay. So you guys know how to do that by now, so I'm not going to walk you through that part. So that's it. There's if you have time to do this, that'd be great. It's good practice, and yeah, hopefully it helps you get better at using tabs. Thank you.